Ever been disrespected so smoothly, it almost made you doubt your own instincts? You walk away thinking, did that just happen? Someone cuts you off mid-sentence, throws a smile while undermining your choices, or treats your time like it's optional. And we're expected to laugh it off, stay polite, and keep the peace? Nope, not today. This video is your toolkit. 5 brutal, wordless power moves to shut that down fast. No yelling, no long speeches, just calm, silent actions that speak louder than any comeback ever could. These aren't your average be the bigger person tips. They're real, tested ways to take your power back without getting dragged into drama. One of them only takes 3 seconds, but flips the entire dynamic. Another creates so much discomfort, they'll think twice before trying you again. Because here's the truth, you don't have to explain, argue, or prove anything to anyone who doesn't respect you. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Every move I'm sharing today is something I've used myself, when staying silent said more than speaking ever could. By the end of this, you won't just know what to do, you'll feel powerful doing it. Let's start with the quietest move that hits the hardest. Let's start with one of the simplest but most disruptive moves you can make: the silent stare. It sounds almost ridiculous. Just look at them, but don't underestimate the effect of the calm, unblinking presence. When someone's being rude, sarcastic, or passive-aggressive, they're fishing for reaction, for weakness, for control. Most people flinch, laugh it off, or try to explain themselves. You do nothing except look. Not angry, not amused, just still. The silence fills the space, and in that silence, they start to squirm. Because here's what people aren't used to: being confronted without chaos. No yelling, no justifications, just energy that says, I see what you're doing. I'm not playing. I remember being in a meeting once, interrupted over and over by the same guy, louder, smugger, like he was performing. Finally, I leaned back. I crossed my arms. I just stared. 5 seconds. No words. He cracked first. The shift in the room was real. Everyone felt it, and after that, he never pulled that again. Sometimes the most powerful way to say stop is with silence and stillness. No drama, no defense, just presence. It says, you don't rattle me, you reveal yourself. If the silent stare is a spark, extended silence is the wildfire. Because here's the truth, not every comment deserves a comeback. Not every insult needs a counterpunch. Sometimes the most dominant response is no response at all. It feels unnatural at first. We're conditioned to explain, to clarify, to defend, but silence makes people uncomfortable, especially the ones who dish out disrespect like it's casual conversation. I've been in situations where someone throws shade dressed as a joke, you know the kind. I'm just being honest, with that smug smile. I used to respond, clarify, laugh along, and keep it light. But then I started doing something different. Nothing. No reaction, no change in posture. I let the words just hang in the air like a bad smell. Let them echo. Let the silence close in around them, and guess what? They backed off. Because silence starves their power source, attention. It's not passive, it's precise. It says, I heard you. I'm just not bending myself to entertain it.
That's when you become unshakable, not because you shouted louder, but because you chose peace over permission. They don't get to rent space in your head for free, so don't pay them with your energy.
Let me say something that might hit harder than expected. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the way you live your life. Not your job, not your boundaries, not your peace. Yet somehow we feel obligated to justify every move. Why you didn't show up, why you chose that path, why you stopped texting. People act like they're entitled to a detailed report of your existence. But ask yourself, are they really curious or are they quietly judging? Because if they respected you, they wouldn't need to interrogate your peace. And if they don't respect you, then no answer will ever be enough. I learned this the hard way when I left a stable job to pursue something I actually loved. Suddenly, everyone had questions. Why would you risk that? What if it doesn't work out? At first, I answered, I explained, I reassured. Then one day, I just said, because I wanted to. The silence that followed, beautiful. It wasn't anger, it was freedom. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop seeking approval. And when you stop seeking approval, you start living on your own terms.
Remember, people can question your choices all day long. That doesn't mean you have to let them.
Sometimes the most powerful move isn't a stare, it's space. Distance is dignity. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life, especially not the people who tear you down in private, then play nice in public. We're taught to feel guilty for stepping back. They're family. You've known them forever. But longevity doesn't equal loyalty, and connection without respect is just quiet erosion. I had a friend who couldn't go one conversation without a jab. About my career, my choices, my priorities. It was all just jokes, but it started chipping away. Little by little, I felt smaller. So I stopped showing up. No confrontation, no drama, I just limited access. And in that silence, I started to breathe again. That's when I learned you don't need to cut someone off to cut their influence. Just shift the weight, create space, protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Distance doesn't mean you're cold, it means you're clear. And anyone who truly respects you will understand that boundary without needing a speech. This last one may sound simple, but it's everything. Hold your head high. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically, because disrespect feeds on doubt. It looks for slouched shoulders, eyes that drop, energy that shrinks. But when you walk into a room with your head high, you're making a silent declaration. I know who I am, and I don't need your approval to exist fully. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. Confidence unsettles people who rely on control. They don't know what to do with someone who won't flinch, who won't fold. I remember facing someone who always had a comment, slick little remarks, always undercutting. That day I stood tall, shoulders back, calm face, head up. I didn't fight, I didn't fold. And you know what happened? They fell quiet. Because posture speaks. It says, you don't get to shrink me. So the next time someone throws shade, questions your path, or tries to dim your light, don't explain, don't defend. Lift your head, straighten your back, and keep walking. That's not just posture, that's power. Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a smirk, a question, a silence that cuts deeper than words. But here's what matters. You get to decide how close that energy gets to you. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to justify your peace. You don't owe anyone access to your self-worth. The more you stand in that truth, the more people who can't handle it will fall away. And the more you'll attract the ones who see your value without needing a performance. So here's your reminder. Respect doesn't start with them. It starts with you. Hold your head high. Use your silence wisely. Protect your space like it's sacred. And if you're done shrinking, done over-explaining, and ready to live on your terms, this channel's for you. Hit that subscribe, drop a comment with your story, and most importantly, never apologize for protecting your peace. You've earned it.
This is your space, where clarity meets transformation. Subscribe and return each week to sharpen the mind and strengthen the soul.